You know, I think I might have mentioned this before, but somebody once mentioned that a pipe gives a wise man time to think and a fool something to stick in his mouth. I'll let you guys draw your own conclusions. You always do. Managed to embroil myself in controversy once again. Ooh, tempest in a teapot. Ooh. The whole thing basically got started because of a rumor going around that the Wisconsin DNR was going to be banning first strike rounds in Wisconsin. And honestly, the DNR has other problems with paintball, and that's another thing entirely. And I don't think they're really going to care about first strike rounds specifically. So on one of the Facebook forums where a lot of these MagFed guys go, I said, look, if I have to suffer with $80 white box paint, you guys can too. Oh yeah, that started it. Getting called a hater, getting called somebody who doesn't understand, getting called ignorant, having people tell me, well, if the field doesn't stock my kind of paint, I'm just going to go play Outlaw. Okay, let's take a back step here. First of all, let me ask you one question about first strike rounds. What's so important about it? Why can't you use normal paintballs? Why do you have to use first strike round? What makes it so important, so good, so worth it for you to fight for them? Simple answer is you feel it gives you an advantage. Whether you want to admit it or not, you feel like you need to have this particular type of paintball in order to have an advantage over somebody who does not have that particular kind of paintball. And this has pretty much been the history of the sport ever since the beginning. And we can start going back here to electro guns, to semi-autos, to the first mechanical semis, to the pumps that actually had a pump attached to them with an auto trigger, to the people who had larger hoppers. If you had a larger hopper, you had an advantage over the other guy. And to borrow a term from gaming, it's taken me quite a while to put it in this way, but this means that paintball is essentially a situation of pay to win. People are willing to fight tooth and claw to get the advantage that they feel is going to give them superiority on the field. And this is pretty much the way it's always been. So the first strike round is pretty much just the latest evolution of that. And the big advantage? Range. You get to shoot the ball further. Accurate or not, doesn't matter. You're just being able to reach out there. My philosophy has been, over the past several months, I've been trying to kind of hammer this home to people. That is that paintball wants to be a sport so badly. It really wants to be a sport. But one of the things that makes sports enjoyable is being able to work within the restrictions of the rules. Not having to create whole new rules to deal with something that you've just going to introduce to it anytime you want to. And we've had this evolution too, because we've had to deal with tanks and Nerf launchers and mortar rounds and helicopters and all these other things that people keep on wanting to throw into the game. Dudes, you're ruining it by just throwing in too much crap. And some people have made the argument of, well, it's just really cool. I mean, can't I have something that's cool? Well, okay, fine. If I thought simunition was really cool, would you let me bring that on the field with me? Just asking. If I got all uppity because my local field owner won't stock simunition just for me, do I have the right to complain about that? Well, that's not fair because it's not the same thing. Well, kinda it is, because you're asking for a specialty thing just for you, not me. You are specifically asking a field owner to spend money so that you can spend a little bit more money for an advantage over anybody else who's walking on the field who doesn't have it. Now, one person actually did try to change the argument on me a little bit, saying, well, you know, if your field has $80 white box paint, you should lobby to get them to change the field. And you know what? It's not just local fields. This is national level events. I have paid $100 for white box paint at high level events. What are you going to do, not play? Actually, that's not a bad viable option. I want to close this by relating a story that I talked about once before in a different video. Way back in 1993, the Ironmen showed up to a recreational big game, and they were shooting pro ball at this event, and they were using the tourney level stuff, so this was, at the time, the high level paint. The rest of us were stuck with essentially $80 white box. And we all complained. As a group, we complained, and the guy who was running the event said, look, my hands are tied. They're saying that their sponsor is mandating they have to shoot their paint, so there's nothing I can do about that. Now, the funny thing was that the captain of the team that I was on, the guy named Fred Schultz, he was also sponsored by Pro Ball, but he said, you know what, I'm going to shoot the same paint as my men. And that's what made our victory even more sweet. So I have a couple of points in this. The first one is that this really is a tempest in a teapot. For all you guys who are mag users, all power to you. I like the magazine feds. They're pretty cool. As soon as I can afford a Tippmann TPX, believe me, I'm going to get one. But at the same time, if the field doesn't want to stock the first strike rounds, deal with it. And the second one is a little bit more of a rally cry for sanity. You guys keep on wanting to call paintball a sport. You keep on wanting to say that we're a sport. Stop adding all these things that give you and you alone an advantage. Let's level the technological playing field and play within those limits. That way, we're going to be able to see who the better player really is, not who has the better credit card. Oh, that's gonna piss someone off. Good.